The candlelight wavered between us, its golden glow casting gentle shadows across her face. Lauren looked stunning, her red dress accentuating every curve, her lips forming the same practiced smile I had once fallen for. A decade ago, that smile had felt like home. Now, I recognized it for what it was, a carefully constructed illusion. We sat at our usual table in Marcel's, the place we always chose for anniversaries. The air buzzed with quiet conversations, the soft chime of glasses meeting, the occasional burst of laughter from nearby tables. Everything felt just as it should, too perfect, almost rehearsed. As I swirled my wine, the weight of the last 10 years settled over me, heavier than ever. Something was wrong. It was an instinct, a storm gathering on the horizon before the first crack of thunder. Then, with the simplest of movements, she set her fork down. "I've been cheating on you for 2 years." The words didn't slice through me, as she had probably expected. They didn't even sting. Instead, they landed softly, spoken with an eerie calmness. She wasn't confessing out of guilt. This was a conclusion, an ending she had already accepted. "I'm leaving you." Lauren leaned back slightly, waiting, anticipating devastation, begging without words for reaction. She expected anger, denial, maybe even tears. Instead, I smiled, lifting my glass with steady hands. I met her gaze. "To your new life." For a fraction of a second, her composure cracked. Just enough. Then the restaurant door swung open and the air shifted. Her eyes darted past me, and suddenly, the confidence she had worn so effortlessly drained from her face. She wasn't expecting this. Ethan had arrived. His presence alone was enough to steal the breath from her lungs. My best friend, her lover, but he wasn't alone. His wife, Julia, stood beside him, her sharp green eyes scanning the room, blissfully unaware that the ground beneath her was about to crumble. Lauren stiffened, her fingers tightening around the stem of her glass. She turned to me, realization dawning far too late. Not a coincidence. She barely managed a whispered plea. "Don't." But mercy had never been part of my plan. I lifted my glass once more, catching Ethan's gaze across the room. His expression shifted. Curious at first, then uneasy. He saw Lauren. He saw me. And then he understood. "Game on." "Hey, man," I called, my voice light casual. What a surprise. Ethan hesitated, his movement stiff. Beside him, Julia glanced between us, confused. Lauren's hand shot out, gripping my wrist. "Please," she hissed under her breath. "Not like this." But that's the thing about betrayal. You don't get to choose how the truth unfolds. I rose, shaking Ethan's hand. Slow and deliberate. "Funny running into you here. Lauren and I were just celebrating our anniversary." Julia's face brightened. "Oh, happy anniversary." Lauren looked ready to vanish. Ethan's palm was clammy in mine. "Thanks," I replied, releasing his grip, though it's a little awkward now, considering Lauren just told me she'd been sleeping with my best friend for 2 years. Silence. Lauren's breath hitched. Ethan's mouth fell open. Julia blinked as the words seeped in, slow and venomous. Then, barely a whisper, Julia spoke. "What?" Ethan swallowed, his panic barely contained. "Babe, Tell her." I interrupted, my voice calm but unyielding. "Tell your wife how long you've been screwing mine." Julia's hands trembled. Her gaze darted between Ethan and Lauren, searching for some loophole, some explanation that might make this a terrible misunderstanding. But there wasn't one. Lauren's nails dug into my wrist. "You don't have to do this," she whispered, desperation lacing her voice. I turned to her, my smile widening. "Oh, sweetheart." I leaned in close, my breath brushing against her ear. I wanted to do this. Julia's expression collapsed. "How long?" she asked, voice raw. Before Ethan could speak, I answered, 2 years. Lauren recoiled. Julia exhaled sharply, unsteady. 2 years. Ethan reached for her, his voice coated in desperation. "It's not what you think, babe. Don't you dare call me babe." Julia yanked her arm free. Fire burned behind unshed tears. "I was worried about us. About you. And the whole time you were with her? Lauren pushed back on the table, her voice thin. We should go. I chuckled. Oh, no, you don't get to run. Her confidence wavered. I studied her, searching for the remorse she should have felt. Did you hesitate before sneaking off to those hotel rooms with him? She had no answer. Julia let out a breathless, bitter laugh. I spent years trusting you, she said to Ethan, and you spent years lying to me. It was a mistake, Ethan blurted out. I shook my head. 2 years is a mistake. It's a lifestyle. The restaurant had gone still. All eyes trained on us, the wreckage unfolding in real time. Reaching into my jacket, I pulled out a small black box. Lauren's breath caught. For a moment, she thought it was a ring. It wasn't. I placed it on the table and flipped it open. A flash drive glinted under the dim light. All the proof is here, I said evenly. Hotel bookings, texts, photos. Ethan muttered a curse under his breath. Julia reached the drive, her hand shaking. This is real, she asked. Very. Lauren lunged for it, but I caught her wrist midair, my grip firm. Don't. Tears welled in her eyes. You planned this. Damn right I did. Ethan turned to Julia, grasping for a lifeline. Babe, we can fix this. But her voice was cold, cutting through him like a blade. No. She clutched the flash drive like it was the only solid thing left in her world. We're done. Lauren turned to me, raw desperation in her eyes. And you? I exhaled, standing tall. Oh, honey, I murmured, leaning in one last time. You left me the moment you let another man touch you. Lifting my glass, I savored the weight of victory, the taste of justice, to freedom. Lauren's lips trembled. Ethan sagged in his seat. Julia turned, walking away without a second glance. I followed her out, stepping into the cool night air. And for the first time in a long, long while, I felt it settle over me, a truth as bright and undeniable as a rising sun.